Am I the asshole? My wife is super pissed off. I have been married for 5 years with my wife, who I met nearly 10 years ago. The thing is, she loves traveling. A lot. And she loves traveling on the date of her birthday. Last year we went to Maceió, Brazil, and had a great time. In May we had a month-long travel to Europe, where we visited some Greek island, Athens, a bunch of Spanish cities and Paris. Her birthday is in a few days and we had some long talks about traveling. Europe left us in debt, and some health issues left us with almost no savings. Alcy, we want to have children this year and we need some medical assistance for that also costs money. I told her that, maybe this year we cannot afford to travel anywhere. She didn't like it but she agreed. But it turns out a few days ago, she snapped. She is now super angry because she is staying home for her birthday, that it doesn't matter what we discussed. She never said she don't want to travel and that me, as her husband, should know what she wants for her birthday and should have known that she wanted to travel either way and surprised her with some tickets. I really don't know how to defuse the situation. I offered to buy some last-minute tickets anywhere but now she doesn't want because she said I'd just be doing it because she forced me. Am I an asshole? You can't afford it. She's not going anywhere. Whatever you do, do not get her pregnant. It will just making the divorce more difficult. She sounds entitled and absurd. You want to have kids with this adult baby? She needs to grow the F up. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. This situation is not going to get better for you both. Your wife will not magically change and understand that you need a strong financial base to build on before taking expensive vacations. And you will become more trusted each year at having to try to balance the books with added stressors as you have children, buy a house, apartment, etc. and take into account emergency funds for curveballs that life regularly throws at us. Not the asshole. Tell her to grow up and stop being a spoiled brat. She's in for a hell of a shock if you have kids. I mean that won't diffuse the situation. It's probably going to make it worse but I think she needs telling. I mean, I don't think she'll be happy with this option. But could you just book a night away somewhere away from home? However, if funds don't allow it. That's it. Not the asshole. Wife is not financially responsible. Not the kind of woman I would want to have kids with. Am I the asshole for accidentally ruining my autistic boyfriend's safe food? My boyfriend loves stew. He wants to eat it every day for every meal. His favorite stew is beef tips and vegetables from a local place, but it's really expensive. Like $47 for a big bowl. They don't do small orders for takeout, and he is grossed out by leftovers so more than half of it gets wasted. We've had a couple of arguments about it. He says I don't understand his brain. I say he doesn't understand our budget. Recently I looked up some recipes, including doing a dissection of the takeout soup, and tried my hand at making a home-cooked replacement for stew night. He loved it for a few days, and then one night he was hanging out with me in the kitchen and saw me put tomato paste into the pot. He was really upset and demanded that I make the soup without the paste. I told him it wouldn't taste the same and he said it would be better because he hates tomatoes, they're not a safe food for him. So I made the soup with no tomato paste and big surprise, something felt off about it to him. Instead of admitting that the tomato paste was necessary he threw a fit and told me he didn't want home-cooked food anymore if I was going to play with him and not take his safe foods seriously. He thinks I changed more than just the tomato paste in an effort to get him to admit he was wrong. $400 in stew orders later I had an idea to ask the chef when we were picking up the order if there was any tomato products in the stew. And lo and behold there is tomato in the recipe, fucking tomato paste. In my mind this was great because I thought he would get over it if he knew his original perfect stew had tomato paste like, oh I guess tomato paste isn't so bad then. But it was the exact opposite. He walked out of the restaurant without saying anything and then refused to eat the stew that night and hasn't ordered it again, and he's been ignoring me while sulking around the house, using his whiny voice a lot, and slamming things. His sister also texted me to tell me I'm a selfish asshole for needing to get back at him by taking his favorite food away. I literally just wanted to stop spending insane amounts of money on stew. I wasn't trying to hurt him or ruin his life. I'm not autistic. I can't really wrap my head around caring this much about a single ingredient. I genuinely didn't see this reaction coming. We've been together for 4 years and he's only had 3 other fits like this. The other ones were pretty reasonable. Those were also a little less intense and didn't include input from his family. This is the first time anyone in his family has ever spoke to me like this. So I've been back and forth between, y'all are overreacting, and, what have I done? Am I the asshole? It sounds so dumb when I write it all out but living it has made me feel physically sick with regret. I can't think straight anymore. ETA. I'm getting ready for work right now so I can't respond to individual comments but there's some recurring confusion, questions I wanted to clear up because it might affect the answers. 1. The stew place is a catering place with a mini restaurant, so every time we order takeout we're ordering a catering amount pretty much. It's not stew made of gold lol. 2. We order from there 2-3 nights a week. It's not the only thing he eats, it's just the top 5 foods for him. He doesn't eat this unreasonably every single day. 3. He has a job and contributes with money. I'm not funding his entire diet. We do mix money, so even though he pays for the meal half the time, it does still feel like we're losing money. He works part-time and I work full-time. Bills are probably split 70-30. Not the asshole. And why are you with this overgrown toddler? Not the asshole. I have an autistic son who is an adult. He had severe food aversion since he was tiny. We both realized that part of growing up and being able to successfully blend and function in society is getting over or learning to cope with quirks. It took years of effort, but he learned to cope with foods he has aversions to, and actually finds he likes 2 of them. Yes, the food aversions are real, but expecting the world to cater to your whims is toddler stuff. The reality is, his favorite food has tomato paste and he needs to learn to cope. There are therapists out there that can help. I did not have the funds when my son was young for a therapist. I borrowed books from the library and tackled the issues one by one. Not the asshole. Your BF's autism is not an excuse for this childish behavior. Lots of foods have ingredients that aren't very palatable in isolation and before cooking. Salt is a good example. You can't really enjoy any amount of salt by itself. Buttermilk too. Buttermilk pancakes are wonderful, but on its own, buttermilk is an abomination. Same with tomato paste. I can't imagine anyone enjoying tomato paste on its own, but in a stew or chili it's a game changer. More info. If his food is so important, why is he not cooking it the way he likes instead of expecting you to be his chef? Not the asshole. He sounds like a giant moron baby. Not the asshole. Separate your finances. And ideally your life. But definitely your finances. Let him pay for his magic stew. And also his rent, utilities, and other living expenses. Am I the asshole for ignoring my family after they excluded me from Christmas, again? For context, I, 29F, have not been on great terms with my family for a long time. My mom has spent most of my life doing everything she can to tear me down, and as of now I haven't spoken to her in almost 3 years. I have an okay relationship with my brother, 32M, and I love my dad even though he enables my mom and never stands up for me because he doesn't like to rock the boat. Until a few months ago I lived pretty close to my parents, but I recently moved across the country and I don't have any friends or family anywhere near my new home. I love holidays and celebrations, but no one else in my family does. When I was younger they used to make fun of me or get frustrated when I would try to be festive around Christmas, and eventually I stopped trying. For the past decade my family hasn't done anything for any holiday, and I have become okay with that. However, my brother, who lives in a different state, got divorced a couple years ago and his ex took their house. So my parents bought a duplex in his town so that he could live on one side with my 4-year-old niece, and they could live part-time on the other. They still have their house in my hometown that they live in most of the year, but the last 2 years my parents have gone up to stay in their side of the duplex for the whole month of December, and they've celebrated Christmas with my brother and niece. Last year they didn't even tell me that they were going. I found out from my dad's FB. It hurt that they decided to celebrate Christmas all together and didn't even tell me, but I shook it off. This year though, they did it again. My dad called me on Christmas Eve and told me how much fun they were having as a family, then asked me what I was doing for Christmas. I told him I was doing nothing. I don't know anyone in my new city and my family is all celebrating Christmas without me. He paused like he didn't consider that, then quickly got off the phone. He later sent me a selfie of them all together saying, "Merry Christmas from Brother's State." I didn't answer. Actually, I stopped answering at all. My dad and I usually talk 2-3 times per week to check in, but he's called me once and texted me twice and I haven't answered since Christmas Eve, 7 days ago. I've also not been posting on my socials, and given that I'm not answering him or posting and I'm all alone in a city far away, he really doesn't know if I'm alive or dead. He texted me yesterday saying, "Please tell me if you're okay," and I haven't responded. I know it's petty, but I'm really hurt that I wasn't even thought of for the family holiday. Even if I was invited I probably wouldn't have gone just because I don't want to be around my mom, but being left out entirely really hurts, and having them rub my face in it with their selfie is even worse. I've been ignored by my family for my whole life and I'm tired of trying. I don't know how to say this to my dad and I don't want to talk to him until I know what to say. Am I the asshole by maintaining my silence? Not the asshole. My mom wanted to host Christmas for my father's side of the family back in 2019. My mother and I weren't getting along at that time, so she told them I wasn't invited. I spend every holiday with my dad's side, so they all kindly let her know if I wasn't welcomed, neither were they. Just know I left early so I didn't have to knock her between the washer and dryer. She was rude and talked about me the whole night. When she started talking about putting her hands on me I left because she would have seen the exact child she reproduced. We get along fine now though, lol. Just send him a link to this post. It says everything he needs to hear to understand. You are obviously in pain. I am so sorry. My question is, have you asked your father why you weren't invited to Christmas twice? Is it because you aren't speaking to your mother? Because that would kind of make sense. You can call him or write him and just let him know that you love him, but you are hurt. That's acceptable. But before Christmas 2023, when was the last time you saw any of them? You might need to just accept that this is no longer your family and either build a new one or be content without toxicity in your life. I'm not saying it's easy. My mom grew up with an abusive mother and her father stood by. As hurt as my mom was by her mother, she felt betrayed by her father. She has made some peace with it, but it never truly goes away. It just is what it is. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole by maintaining my silence? Big ol' nope. Not the asshole. Why keep setting yourself on fire to keep the relationship with them warm? They obviously want to do the bare minimum and only when they are on the receiving end of the attention. Good for you letting them go. Now, on to the "I have no friends here" part. Guess what? Now that you have removed a big-time sink from your life, you will have more room to find those healthy friends and form your own bonds. Next year, decorate your space, have that great Christmas you love, and don't worry if you do it alone. Just do it loud and proud. Those who vibe with you will gravitate toward you. Not the asshole. No offense, but if my family didn't know whether I was alive or dead, they'd show up at my door just to check, or won't stop calling until I answered. A barely there effort from your dad isn't worth you second-guessing your move to go NC with toxic people who don't give a fuck about you as a family member. Not the asshole, please. Look forward now, not back. No more holidays for a while, at least. Christmas is months away. Stay silent unless they threaten to have the cops do a wellness check. They ignore you. Why should they expect anything different from you? I see some great comments here about what to say when you are ready. Maybe, by September, you can start planning some fun Christmas activity, even if it's just indulging at a restaurant. You'll have some friends in a year's time. You'll know your way around. That way, next December 25th, you won't feel so badly about your family. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend that her friend is too ugly for my friend? I've, 29 male, been with my girlfriend, 28 female, for the past 8 months and it has been amazing. I've met her friends and I really like them all, and she's met my friends and they all got along great. We are all hanging out together for the first time this weekend. The issue is that my girlfriend has told one of her friends, let's call her Sue, that she thinks she would be perfect for one of my friends, let's call him Mike. She has told her this multiple times, shown her pictures of him, and gotten her all excited. My problem with this is that I don't think they are a good match at all. Mike is a very good-looking guy, in great shape, is 6 feet 2 inches and is a lawyer. He has always dated very conventionally attractive women. Sue is great and I really like her, but she is just not very conventionally attractive. She is overweight and just doesn't put much effort into her appearance in general. My girlfriend has mentioned this potential match to me a few times, and I've always just kind of brushed it off with a "we'll see," or "you never know," hoping it would just fizzle out, but after we made plans to all hang out and after I found out she has been telling Sue about it, I felt like I had to say something to her. I didn't want Sue to get her feelings hurt, and I didn't want to put Mike in an awkward situation. I told my girlfriend I think she should not try to set them up together, and to just leave it alone, and if something happens between them, great, but not to push it. When she asked why, I said I just don't think they are a comparable match looks-wise, and that I think Sue would get her feelings hurt. I said I don't think they're a great match personality-wise either, since he is super active and she is much more of a homebody. This caused a big fight, our first real fight, where she accused me of thinking my friends were better than her friends, asking who else I thought was ugly, etc. I was genuinely just trying to avoid an awkward situation, but I might have made it worse. Should I just have kept my mouth shut and let it happen? Definitely not the asshole, but I do think it might have been handled a bit on the insensitive side. That said, I think your partner shouldn't have said anything to Sue and just let nature take its course. If Mike is interested in any of her other friends, then this whole situation is going to be really bad for Sue, as she's already got him in her head and is looking forward to meeting Mike. Is Sue your GF stuff? And your girlfriend is setting her up to fail? If so, you might want to ditch your GF. You were just simply being honest and saving her and him from being in a very uncomfortable situation. You are not the asshole. We'll let them meet each other in a whole friend group get-together thing, and if they talk and end up liking each other then great, but if not then person shrugging medium light skin tone female sign person shrugging medium light skin tone female sign person shrugging medium light skin tone female sign. You should have said that it doesn't matter what you think, because it doesn't. If she wants to matchmake, invite them both to the same event. Not a double date. Your girlfriend is overreacting, I think. She is the sensitive type LMAO.